Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, so I grabbed several show all windows. I'm gonna try. Okay, so I grabbed several different things and ideas that I wanted you guys to see, if my computer will just blessed internet. Okay, so I thought we would venture into the realm of dating, as everyone struggles with this. I guess we could have gone into the realm of marriage and all that good stuff, but when I saw this cover, I was like, no, this is far too fun. So I thought that we would take a look at what works when it comes to subtitles, titles, even book descriptions, as well as the cover. So I want to show you what is working and what is not working. This one is clearly working. Pay attention to all of this right here. Never chase men again. I don't know why, but that's hilarious to me. Okay, so dating secrets, and then get the guy, keep him interested, prevent dead end relationships. I actually tried to, well, I did go through KDP Rocket. I wanted to take a look at all of these different keywords. And so I'm going to show you the keywords that I looked at just to demonstrate things. Sorry, I was enjoying Agatha Christie and the Scarlet Pimpernel as well. Okay. So when I'm looking into, so prevent dead end relationships, I honestly, I was looking at that and I was thinking that couldn't possibly be an actual keyword, a keyword phrase. Oh no, it certainly is. And it's brilliant. So you've got 57 here as a competitive score, 1,793 searches right here as to preventing dead end relationships. I thought that was really interesting. And then you'll see the hyphen right here. Like, you guys remember to tweak these keywords, do different things. Okay, so it's just a little bit more, 67. Less search results right here, but not by too much, and you still got the same number of competitors. So then I went to keep him interested, because I just wanted to see, I mean, this person seemed to have done their homework, but keep him interested, competitive score of 46. Look at these searches. There's so many people searching on how to keep your man interested, and now I feel like I should be searching that too, even though I'm not. But maybe I should. I don't know. Everybody else is. So I thought this was really interesting. It's not quite as profitable right here, but look at keep him close. That's profitable. Not as many searches, but it still wouldn't hurt you to use it. So this person might consider, as far as a subtitle goes, changing things up a little bit. That can get tricky if you've actually put that on the book cover, but you can always revamp book covers later as well, because what you'll find is that from month to month and also from year to year, certain keywords can get saturated. And I'm actually going to show you an example of that with my book, because we're going to use one of my books as an example of what not to do. As I was doing all this research, I was like, oh crap, how long has it been since I've looked at my books and actually fixed the keyword research on there? Answer, a while. So I'm going to show you that as well. Get the guy. Let's take a look at get the guy. So this is a little bit more competitive. So if they wanted to fix things a little bit, then they might try something like how to hold on to your man, just, spread things around, fix things. But honestly, their book is still doing really, really great. So I wanted to just show you those different ideas right there. So you can see how when it comes to title and subtitle, we've talked about keyword research, but it really is very important to take the time to do the research that you need to do. Once you find your topic, then you're niching down. Once you get to niching down, then you're thinking to yourself, how am I going to word this correctly? What am I going to focus on? Your best bet is to come here. If you don't have any ideas, just search your broad topic and then start looking at phrases that normally you would search for if you were looking into that topic. So how to get the guy, how to keep the guy, dating secrets. Did we even look at dating secrets? I don't think we did. So dating secrets is 53, not a huge amount of searches. Secretly dating, I mean, is that a thing? I don't know, maybe in high school. Maybe if you're a princess and you're dating a commoner, I'm not really sure. But either way, that could be really fun for nonfiction and fiction. So it gives you a lot of fun ideas to work with, okay? So I'm going to stop sharing this screen and move to the, oh, where did it go? Never Chase Men Again. Here we go. So now I want you to look at this cover. This is such a fabulous cover because the color is spot on. This little silhouette right here is really, really great. It might kind of speak to the romantic comedy genre, but the fact that it's just a silhouette is kind of key. It's a little bit less personable than if you had fully blown, drawn out characters. And then this is clearly Never Chase Men Again with the subtitle right here. So it's all clear. You can see the author's name. It's really, really great. When you come down, I'll put together book blurb. This doing the headings, it's a bit of a pattern interrupt, okay, guys? Oh dear, did I lose you?
No, I hear you.
Are you here?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yep.
The screen went black, so I just want to make sure I didn't get bumped off. That has happened. Okay, so these headings, it's a bit of a pattern interrupt, and it helps people, it draws their eyes to what's important. Discover dead-end relationships. If a man doesn't take you seriously, he may feel compelled to have a good time with you. Unfortunately, this good time will last until you finally realize you're being taken for a ride, or until Mr. Time Waster moves on to the woman he really wants. In this initial first paragraph, what we have is the problem. So in any nonfiction book, you're going to be dealing with problems that you want to solve or fix for a person. State them in the blurb if you're going to write it for yourself. Find someone who knows how to state it in the blurb, in the book description. This is a tagline. This is something that is going to introduce them right away. And it's also keyword rich right here. As you continue further, you'll find that there are different keywords within here, but they didn't keyword stuff it to the extent that it doesn't make sense. What they did is they made it compelling and interesting. So when you're trying to do subtitles and titles, I want you to also consider the other keywords that you find as you're searching for your title and subtitle, and what would be good in a book description, and how you can utilize that information, because it's going to help you writing your book. Then we've got another pattern interrupt right here. How to keep a man interested without playing games or becoming his doormat. Because that, I mean, playing games is a pain point for women. It's my pain point, or it was in college and high school. Becoming his doormat, that has never been my pain point because I've never allowed it, but it's been others. Everybody goes through different situations. And so what you'll find is that this person really did his homework when it came to the problems that women have when it comes to dating and relationships. So he's hitting them. He's nailing every single one right here. Many dating advice books, this keyword term, I already know that because dating advice books, I mean, that's something that I've seen millions of times. For women, so now he's got the long-tailed keyword. Tout the idea that a high level of confidence is key when dealing with men. So he's introduced another issue, and he's dealing with another problem, and he's telling you how he's going to solve it. So this is just really well put together. How to date a man to keep him calling and falling for you. Again, he's done another pattern interrupt with the problem. And then women with strong personal boundaries are principle-centered, not men-centered or romance-centered. To them, their personal values, such as giving and receiving unconditional love, are more important to them than needing to be with any one particular guy. So he's touching on another issue. And what we're also seeing is the writing style and whether or not we actually want to read what this man has written. So it's very well done, and it's long. Good glory, it's long. But you need to use up all of the space that you have when it comes to book descriptions. Use as much as you can for whatever is necessary, because this is your place to make this search engine optimized, okay? So here's what you're going to learn inside. And I love it when people do this, and I love to do this when it comes to book blurbs. You're making lists of the things that they're going to learn. You lay it out for them. This is not fiction. People are not concerned about spoiler alerts when it comes to nonfiction. You can totally tell them exactly what's going to be in this book, because they need to know if your book is solving their problem. So you're going to be putting it in there, and you're going to be filling it with more keyword research.
Okay. All right. So we just lost CJ. lost you. Hold on. Can you guys still see me? Or you've lost me as well? Yeah? Okay. Great. Oh, right. Great. Thanks, guys. So while she's going to try to join us back, this is the fun of being live. I'm going to kill her, but I'm just going to let her to come back first before I'm going to do something to her. How about I reopen the chat box, and if you have any questions, you can type in there. Here we go. Okay. Sorry, guys. Apologies. Yeah, stressed. I am stressed because I seem to have problems with tech every single week these days. Only the recording is for the weekly call is in your KPI course under the tab KPI weekly calls, and then you can go in there and they're all in there. Okay, she's back. Let me just make her, hold on. I just said that I'm going to have to kill you, but I'm going to let you join first, and then.
I'm so sorry, guys. My internet has been a nightmare today, and I'm trying to, man, I'm just trying to get all of these different things closed. Hopefully that will help. That will help this scenario. So
we got to do something about your internet connection. You know, it's yeah, it seems a bit patchy, but maybe because you're in the no man's land where it's
so frustrating. I'm so sorry, you guys.
How about we'll just go through some of the questions really quickly. Can you do that keyword search using KD Spy? What else? Did CJ talk to you about my problem? Mercedes, Mercedes, I think yes. I think CJ did. Yeah. It's about billing, right? Mercedes, just let me know. If it is, then we are dealing with it. Can she use some example to show us using KD Spy so that she's going to cover that quickly? I have an issue with creating bullet points. How do you create this? You Google Christine, I'll send you a link. There's a lot of tools free that you can use to incorporate all the HTML coding. I'll send you a link. If you just Google, you can find it, but I'll send you a link. Joe is asking, so if you do a really long description, I guess the question is, do all the keywords count have as much weight as, for, the first paragraph versus the last bit?
No, there's no, as far as like what order it's in, it doesn't matter. What they're really looking at is basically what anybody is searching for. So if someone's searching for keywords that are in your book description and those keywords are not as competitive, then it's more likely your book is going to be the thing that pops up when people are typing in those specific search results, which is why it's so important not necessarily to put keywords or keyword phrases in for every single like word or sentence, but enough to where you're branching out and making sure that anyone who's searching on this subject in any way is going to be able to find your book, especially if you're using words and phrases that are not as competitive but searched frequently.
Yep. Okay. Great. Yes, I will put the HTML creator in the resources section. That's not a problem.
I'm actually going to go over that just to demonstrate it a little bit.
All right, perfect. All right. I'm going to let you do
If
your
my
thing.
internet will ever.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Okay, let's try this again. Let's share my
Because
screen
I was
again.
totally hooked. I was like, how to keep it the man clothes. I mean, like, I got to see this. Yeah, Ellen, there's one. Ellen just post the link in there. You can use that one. You can use. There's so many of them. So I just pasted it again. Thanks, thanks, Ellen.
Okay, yeah, I kind of wanted to use, because what I want to show you is a similar book on dating, but part of what some of the stuff that they're doing wrong here. The first thing I want to draw your attention to is the fact that this got spelled wrong. When I first read it, I was like, okay, 23 types of guys you might meet on social media. How to be wise as serpents and harmless of doves. And then that jarred me a bit. I was like, harmless of doves. That's weird. I don't think I mean, is that like a key phrase or term that I've never heard of before? Is that an idiom? Is that? So then when you look on here, you can hardly see the subtitle. It's crazy. Like you can't see it in this thumbnail. And when it comes to thumbnails for cover design, you need to be able to see all of the wording fairly well. So in here it says as doves. So, you know, we've already got an issue with the fact that this wasn't even corrected. And then I looked at it and I thought, okay, types of guys you might meet on social media. I don't know if that's being searched frequently, but you never know. So I thought, well, let's go in, let's type in all of the things that this person is using. Here, let me share my screen so that you guys can see that. And then, so I typed this in and I didn't mean to misspell it and I didn't notice until afterwards, but I thought it was so funny. I laughed for a while and then I realized, oh, that's the one I wanted. So I just left it. But you'll see that wise as serpents, that's not searched at all. And it's not profitable. Guys you meet on social media, 20. I guess it could be profitable, but only if people search for it and you've got less than 100 searches here. So that didn't seem right to me. So already we had some fails. We had some fails on this and I didn't even bother looking up, what was it, gentle as a dove? I don't know. I shouldn't be laughing. That's mean. But I just was kind of like
harmless as a dove.
Harmless as a dove. Yeah, I don't know. Is that familiar to anybody? Because I've never heard of anyone using wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove within the dating arena. And that I could be wrong, but
What?
I'm here to point out I'm here to point out things that aren't working, not to make the author feel bad, not that this author is ever going to know that I've discussed this, but just her sales ranking is over 500,000. And this is why she didn't utilize this real estate, which is too bad because it's got a lot of great reviews. So I'm assuming it's a fairly good book. And then this, to me, this cover screams of Sex in the City and, you know, met Jane Austen's book club. Like it's got absolutely nothing to do with like teaching you how to date. So we've got a lot of details right here. We don't see a man in it. We don't see anything having to do with social media. So when I initially looked at this, it kind of looked like a rom-com cover for reels. And then you've got all these women around as if they're chatting. And so it made more sense to me. Like the cover just didn't make sense. So that was part of it too. Although the typeface is great. I love the cover. I want to get the cover and use it for a rom-com because it fits in that genre a lot more, I think. So I thought, okay, struggles there, struggles here. Let's take a look at the blurb. And then I was like, whoa.
Okay.
Struggles here. So a lot of struggles here. So we don't have any kind of pattern interrupt. For whatever reason, we've got bullet points that are bullet points full of paragraphs when these should just be very smaller takeaways. So this is definitely what not to do when you're setting it up. 23 types of guys you might meet on social media is a book for marriage-minded women. Great, I love that. I think that's probably a keyword phrase, who are exhausted by the games. But I want everyone to ask themselves, if they were to hit that button, read, read more. And this huge block of text just popped up. I mean, would you sit there and read it? Even if, because the other book we looked at had tons of text. It took up the whole thing, but it was interesting. It was visually appealing to the eye. Okay. And so more people were interested in reading it because there were headers, and then there was something very specific as far as problems that you were going to solve. So you introduce the problem, discuss how you're going to solve the problem. Introduce another problem, discuss how you're going to solve the problem. Then you introduce, what the rest of the book is about in bullet point form, and you can actually put really great keywords in those. So this was a bit of a disaster. I'm hoping that's making it clear to everybody, the difference between those two. Questions? Do we have questions so far?
No, we don't have questions, but we did have a question. So yes, for books, you can use HTML, and like for your products. So it can get a little bit tricky because you kind of have to remove some of the habits that you gain while selling physical products. They don't apply for the book. So you can have HTML coding, which is great. You definitely don't want a block of text like just then. Yeah, and then William, very clever. It's a misquote. Matthew. Okay. Can you see the, CJ, can you see the Q&A box?
Yes, I can. Oh, it's a misquote. I am sending you out the sheep among wolves, therefore be as shrewd as snakes and as innocent as doves. It was misquoted. And if I knew the Bible better, I might have known that.
Yes, Caroline, yes, that's exactly what William said. So very clever. Okay, all right.
That's so fascinating. Okay, interesting. Thanks for letting us know about that, because I was like, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it. Okay, so I want to take you, let's see, let's share this again. Sorry, I had so many pages and I thought to myself, don't do a ton of pages, Cindy. You do a ton of pages and you're not going to be able to navigate your share screen, because we all know I struggle. Okay, I wanted to take you to the Kindlepreneur. I know that there are a lot of different tools that you can use to make sure that you get what you want in your book description. So if we were to take that entire book description and put it in here, then we could mess with it a little bit. We could put different things on here that would make sense. The first thing I would want to do is change that top part. I think it would be, because you want a tagline, okay? So it would be something along the lines of book for marriage-minded women, okay? So something that screams to that particular audience, and obviously you'd make that tagline a little more interesting, but then you would want to do this, just copy it and hit heading 4 so that it's going to be a little bit bigger, okay? And then from there, so what you'll see is you've got all these font styles, italics. What this does is it creates HTML code for you that you then copy. You copy this entire thing once you've formatted it the way that you want to, and then you just put it in your book description in the area on KDP. I just wanted to give you a brief overview of this because you'd need to do a massive fix of that particular one, and then probably just shorten up all of the bullet points that she had and do specific keyword research so that we've got a bullet point list right here. Or you could do a numbered list, and that way we're aware of what is going on within the book itself. So I really like the way that Kindlepreneur sets this up. This is the same guy who does Publisher Rocket, for everyone who wants to know. His resources are pretty great. I enjoy working with them. And I mean, I know how to do some of the HTML myself, but for those of you who don't want to deal with HTML coding when it comes to making your book description look visually appealing, this is going to be your best bet when it comes to putting cute little icons. Don't use that for thrillers. I'm all, romantic comedy all the way, know your audience. And then, italicize things, underline things if you need to make things important. Sometimes in the book description, you bold things that are really important within the book. And I'll give you a little preview of that in a second. You can also have editorial reviews. So it's important to put editorial reviews on your page as well, because you can format them however you want. And it's pretty great. This is a book description for Amazon if you guys decide to go there, but I think we've been pretty clear as far as just keeping your books on Amazon, since you can then enroll them in KDP Select. So it does give you options, but stick with this one and this one. And then you can start to stylize your book description for future reference. Okay. Any questions so far on that?
All right, so how about, so Donna is asking, so we have a title, then subtitle, then tagline, then description, then bullets. Yeah, it's about right. So, so you have the title and subtitle. When you're in the back end of your KDP, you enter the title, subtitle, and then there's a description part. That's where you put your tagline, which is often a problem for no fiction books. It's often a problem. And then how you tackle, how your book is going to solve that problem in bullet points. And then you might have another tagline and more bullet points. So just whatever it's easy for the readers to skim through and then say, oh, okay, this book might be relevant to me. And then they will go ahead and buy. Yeah. So Patty is asking, when looking at Publisher Rocket page, are there preferred ranges for search and competitive number?
I would not, I try to avoid going over 65 when it comes to competitive, like how competitive it is to rank. 65 or under. When it comes to how many people you're actually competing against, you want to keep it low. It's always going to be a little bit different, and that's kind of relative based on profitability of how much money you get. So you definitely want searches to be over 100, and you definitely want the competitive score to probably be around 65 or under. If you're super advanced in AMS ads and in marketing your books, you could go a little bit over, but I wouldn't go any higher. As you start out, I wouldn't go any higher than 65, to be honest.
Unless you have a expertise in something, right, that that your book will just naturally stand out. People will have, immediately will know that, okay, this book will be much better than any other ones. Then I would go over 65. But if you're just starting out and you don't have a particular strong expertise in something, then stay in the lower competition numbers. Okay. Yeah, I've disabled the chat because I've been having questions that are not relevant to what we're doing. So I'm just made an executive decision there. Copyright. When would you copyright your work? Okay, I think I just touch on this very quickly. Copyrights, as soon as you put your words on the paper, you are protected by copyright laws. So as soon as you fix anything in a tangible format, you are protected by copyright law. The usual practice is people like to put a page of copyright notice, and we have templates for that in the resource section. So Bruce, you can go have a look and then just use the templates. Okay, so Donna is asking, so should we include keywords from title and subtitle in our 7 keywords, or it's completely different? You do both, CJ.
Yeah, I would do both. I would also, so whatever, especially because you're using those keywords within your title and subtitle, because hopefully you have a very high search volume for them and a very low competitive score. So it's going to be your best bet when putting them in your 7 words on your KDP form when you're uploading your book. And then of course you'll need to find more that are just as useful and that you can easily compete with.
Yep. So it's a separate section. So you have when you upload your book, you have title, subtitle, book description. You have also a separate section for your 7 keywords. So I would use again the most strong keywords in as part of the 7 keywords. How do you get editorial review?
So with editorial reviews, if you have someone like a magazine review it, like Publisher Weekly, you can get an editorial review from them, although sometimes that can be fairly costly. So what I like to do is actually work with different authors or just work within my network and find different editors who enjoy reading books. You can actually get on Facebook and look in Facebook groups and look for groups where you're finding editors and proofreaders who just enjoy reading books and writing reviews based on their own expertise. And when you can get those reviews, then rather than having them post them on Amazon, you get those from them, and then you go into your Author Central account and you can physically copy and paste that and add it to that. And I'm actually going to show you what those editorial reviews look like on a couple pages here pretty soon. And you can also get it from people who are other authors or just everyday people. It can be considered an editorial review if they have any kind of experience with the particular subject. It's a little bit different for fiction, but for nonfiction, as long as someone has some kind of expertise, whether it's editorial or some interest in it, they've published books, they've written books along those lines, you can research all of those people, find those groups on Facebook, join those groups, and then start shopping around to find people who would do that for you. I think Kirkus, is it Kirkus? They'll do a very huge, large editorial review that costs you so much money, it's ridiculous. So that's considered prestigious and, gets you some authority, but you have to pay a lot of money to do it. So it's kind of questionable, I think, unless you really want to go for something like that.
And also you might not be, there's no, it's not because you pay that they're going to necessarily do the editorial review. You have to pass a lot of, scrutiny and reviews, and if they're happy, yeah, they will review. So I think the Facebook groups will be the best way to go.
Yeah.
Find
that's your best
interesting that topic. All right. Okay. That's it. Since John, we use agencies for both fiction and non-fiction. We use agencies. It's just easier. We've used in past ghostwriters, freelancers, and it was a disaster. I used I don't know how many, 4 or 5 different ones, and every single time it's just, oh my god, I just didn't really know what to do of it. There's not even way of correcting and amending to make it readable. So we don't use ghostwriters anymore, but you might know people who are into that specific genre, and ask them to write that. So yeah, fiction is always more expensive than non-fiction.
Yep. Unfortunately, it's just harder.
Yeah. And also keywords are harder, marketing are harder. Yeah, so that's why we recommend you start with non-fiction.
Right.
All right. Okay.
Okay, let's take a look at some more. Okay, public speaking. Okay, I'm going to show you a public speaking book now of what not to do. I think this is the what not to do one. Yes, this is the what not to do one. Oh man, I took a look at this and I didn't know what this was at first. Now here's the thing, I like this cover, just not for the topic, because I actually like the art. I think that's pretty cool, but I don't see it as having anything to do with public speaking unless I squint my eyes and turn my head and maybe visualize this being an audience and this someone, you know, unless you want to take like a symbolic interpretation of it. But that seems to be a lot of brain power and not something anybody should have to do at first glance when they're trying to buy a book. People need to know immediately when they see a cover what it represents. And this doesn't speak to me at all when it comes to public speaking. Another problem is they threw public speaking in here, this simple guide. We have no idea what is in it. We have no idea what types of problem it's solving, because with public speaking, it's like, are you using filler words? How do we avoid that? Are you afraid? Do you deal with anxiety? How do we deal with that? So what angle or focus are they taking? We don't know. There's absolutely, this is simple short book about the public speaking skill development. Like, it's not even a complete sentence. Or a correct sentence, and that is what they did with their real estate right here and right here. And when you go to the keywords and actually type in public speaking in Kindle Rocket, I think that, let's go check it out. I think it was, what was it? I did a search for it. Here we go, public speaking. 78, that's a fairly high score, not a ton of search volume. And then with other things like public speaking anxiety, that's a little bit better. He could have done that, niched it down. So we're focusing on the type of anxiety you deal with just before you get on and speak in front of people. And then maybe he could have said how to overcome anxiety while speaking, or, you know, there were so many things that he could have done, or she could have done, whoever it was that put that together. Even this would have been better, just saying public speaking anxiety, because it's 44 rather than dealing with that, although the searches are much lower. So what you'll find is that just putting the generic search term, such as public speaking, on there, it's not going to cut it, because inevitably that's going to be far too competitive. Okay. And then we don't have a great blurb with that. So let me show you what this person should have done with this other book that looks far better. So obviously public speaking, that speaks to my, you know, thought processes. My eye is drawn to this. We do have public speaking. However, we go into more detail. Speak like a pro. How to destroy social anxiety. Sweet. We're going to learn how to speak like a pro. We're going to learn how to destroy social anxiety. We're going to develop self-confidence, improve persuasion skills, and become a master presenter. So they've really tapped into so many different issues that people have when it comes to public speaking. And it's brilliant, especially because all of that is here and you can see it. It's not in a tiny little heart where you can't read it. Nothing's misspelled up here. And then we have communication skills training. I'm willing to bet they went in, they checked that as a keyword in Katie Spy, and checked to make sure that there was profitability there, that it was under 150,000, that there were 30,000 books, you know, that there was stuff in Audible. They probably went through that whole profitability sheet exercise, or at least, you know, figured out that communication skills training would be a great series name that they could then add to this. So they've just totally, they've nailed this. They hit it out of the park. So it's far easier to find it, and it's a bestseller. I'm not sure why it's a bestseller in puppets and puppetry. I guess because you're up in front of people speaking, doing puppets, but that's interesting. They found a cool niche there. I'm not sure I would have put it there, but that's interesting. So I want you to take a look at this right here. Another header: destroy stage fright and become a captivating speaker. Tagline, header, broke it up. Have you ever been called upon to speak in an event and the mere thought of doing it is giving you sleepless nights? We've introduced a problem. Do you want to learn how to captivate a crowd? We've introduced a want or a need. Awesome. Are you looking to make your mark in the world? Sure. Who isn't, you know? So whether you are speaking as the best man at your friend's wedding, leading a presentation by your team at the next board meeting, or speaking to an audience of eager people, this book, and then it goes into the whole thing. Look how they did the whole book again in here. Brilliant, because they've just added more keywords and keyword phrases, okay? And then they're bringing up scenarios of places where you might need this type of help. So it's a really great book blurb. And then we've got the bullet points again, where you can introduce more keywords, and then it, conclusion. And then we've got a nice little header here. So what are you waiting for? Scroll up, click buy now. This is a call to action. It's wonderful. Make sure that you add those types of call to actions right down here. Okay. So that's what you should be doing in that one. Do we want to answer more questions before I show? I was going to show you fiction examples, namely mine, of what not to do.
Yes, yes, we'll do that. But let me just cover something quickly here. The reason why I disable chat box is so that you don't get distracted reading other people's questions. So that's why you don't get to see other people's questions in the Q&A, but I read out the questions so that you know what people are asking. So John is just asking something about a fiction genre. And we're just saying that instead of using a ghostwriter, maybe go use an agency. Kevin, that's why you don't see the questions here, because I don't want you to get distracted while CJ is talking. With the 7 keyword section, do they need to be readable sentence, or can you put the words just as words?
In the keyword section, yeah, just words. Are we talking about on KDP in the 7 places where you put, yeah, it's just the words. It doesn't need to make sense because nobody's seeing that. It's just basically metadata that you're putting in there.
Jason is asking, you're saying to use an agency, but the whole premise of when we sign up was independent ghost writers and not necessarily agencies. I'm confused. Agencies have a lot of independent ghost writers, and the reason why we go to an agency is because they vetted a lot of those ghost writers, and then also those books have been edited, formatted, at least to the ebook format, so you don't have to do that yourself. And that's why we recommend agencies rather than going to a individual ghostwriter. Jody is asking, someone asked this in the chat, where has the 3-hour session from a few weeks ago with Sophie saved? It was too late in the UK to watch live. I'm so sorry. I know a lot of you have asked this question. We recorded and the sound and quality was really, really terrible. So the IT cannot save it, but we're going to do another live workshop just in a week's time. We'll give you the right time, and we're also going to try to make it a little bit more time friendly for those people who are in the UK. I know that especially with the daylight saving starting, it's going to be really, really late at the usual time. So that's why you can't find it anywhere, Jody. So sorry about that. Are there any agencies that you would recommend? I recommended a few. If you go into the resource section, resource directory, and there's 3-4 different agencies that we recommended. And then Ellen is asking, can we use KD Spy to search for keywords?
You can, but it's not going to be as specific. So for example, you can use KD Spy and it will give you like a word cloud that will bring up words that are being used most often in book blurbs of like the top 20 books, but it's not going to give you the competitive data that you need. You're not going to know how often people are searching for it, what the competitive score is for it, what the monthly revenue is for it. So you're better off using Publisher Rocket. So I like to think of KD Spy as initial searching gold, I guess you could say, to make sure that a specific topic or niche is going to be profitable before I take a deep dive into that niche, because you don't want to waste your time on something that's not going to be profitable. So use KD Spy to figure out if the niche and the topic that you are looking at is even profitable in the first place and worth spending your time researching. And once it works and it fits the profitability spreadsheet, then go to Publisher Rocket and start your keyword research. Figure out what it would be that you would focus on within that niche, and figure out what your keywords would be for your title, subtitle, book descriptions. Get very, very detailed in that. So you need both of them. You really do.
What is the Publisher Rocket, it's one-off fee, $97, I think. So
Yeah, one-time fee.
Yeah.
And he keeps saying that he's going to make it a subscription, and he's been saying that for like 2 or 3 years. I don't know when he's going to, but I would get it now, so you only have to pay for it once, and then you won't be faced with that threat of subscription when he does do it, because you'll already be locked into that one-time fee.
Joe is asking, what kind of pricing are you paying for agency products around 30,000 words as a guideline? For nonfiction without illustration type of book, 30,000 words, I think it's about 850, maybe to 900 max. Yeah. Okay, all right, let's move on to your books.
We're going to take a look at one of my books, just so I can give you an idea of fiction, because fiction is set up slightly differently. In fiction, the only problem you're trying to solve is catching their attention spans and trying to get people to read your books, and writing something that is enjoyable and entertaining. So you're solving escapism, basically. You're trying to help people escape and enjoy a book in the genre that they love. There's going to be specific reader expectations for any book of fiction. So I'm very well versed in all things romance. If you guys eventually want to go into the realm of having people ghostwrite romance for you, or any fiction book for you, whether you like romance or not, romance is the highest selling category on Amazon. And then all of the sub niches are, you know, they have variations between them, but by far romance is the highest one. So it is a lucrative business opportunity, especially when you can find those sub niches that are selling well and not horribly competitive. So one thing that I took a look at when I just thought, well, let's go to my book, and I realized, you know what? I have not optimized this in a long time. So it's not like I can sit there and here and go, the Healer series, dive into some kind of book that's going to keep you up at night and wish that you were in another world. You're not going to put that in the subtitle. You're not solving that problem in the subtitle. What you are doing is you're helping people identify tropes within the subtitle. So the idea of fated mates, that's a trope. The idea of enemies to lovers is a trope. Supernatural spy, that's a trope for thrillers. So what you're doing is you're identifying tropes that are hopefully not too competitive. So I took a look at that, and I actually had to redo my cover, because before it did not cover to market. This is the type of cover you want when it comes to a young adult romantic fantasy series. Urban fantasy, the colors would be darker. This is a lot brighter. It's to let people know that it's clean. There's not like a ton of sex in it or a ton of swear words in it. So the darker, like dark romances, they're actually going to have darker covers. Okay, so make sure that you actually study the specific subgenre that you want to go into when it comes to fiction in the future. Again, nail the nonfiction down, get the nonfiction going, because that's far easier and it will build up that revenue stream for you. And then if you are just feeling the urge to go through fiction, then by all means do so, but it's going to be a different approach. So I decided to take a look and see if, because I haven't changed these, and this is my bad. This was me being lazy. Okay, so I think, what was it? Young adult, fated mates, romance. One of these, I can't remember what I just had on there. Fated mates, fantasy romance. That's what I had. That's what I currently have on there. Do you guys see this competitive score? Oh, big no-no, huge no-no. So how much revenue have I lost because I failed to pay attention to the keyword terms and keep up to date with things? Because at the time that I used this, it wasn't such a saturated keyword. I think it was at 56. Now it's at 97. And of course, there's a lot of searches here and that you're making a lot of monthly revenue. But the problem is, look at all the people I'm competing with. And then look at that. It's just, it's not great. It's going to be harder to do. I'm still doing it, but it's just, you know, why do it when you can maximize it a different way? So I thought, all right, let's try some other stuff. Fated mates, young adult, romantic fantasy. So that works. That's a little bit better. 65, 1,215, not a lot right here. And I'm still making a lot of revenue here. So do you see how just tweaking things a little bit and staying up to date on the the tropes and the terms. You have to do this in nonfiction too. But I wanted to show you that I got it wrong so that you'll know that you need to keep researching and making sure that you pay attention to things. Just take one day a month to evaluate your books and make sure that the terms that you're using, you can change. Now, it's a little different for fiction because right here, this Fated Mates fantasy romance, it's not on my book cover. All I have is the Healer and then the Healer series, CJ Anaya, USA Today bestselling author. Like I don't have a Fated Mates fantasy romance on here, and I don't have it as the main thing on my books in KDP. So this is interchangeable. I can change the subtitle out whenever I want to. Pay attention to that for fiction. Make sure that you don't put these tropes or these search terms on here. All you need is the title on here and then the title series on here, okay? If you are nervous about your cover when it comes to nonfiction, sometimes it can be interchangeable. A lot of times covers need to be updated for nonfiction anyway, just to keep up with the changing appearance of things. And nonfiction covers are really inexpensive, $25 to $50. So if you feel like you need to make some keyword changes to subtitles and you did put them on the cover, just know that you can easily change that as well. It's an easy fix, it's inexpensive, and then you're still raking in more revenue and more search terms organically because you managed to adjust with your research, so to speak. And then if you'll look over here, so I did this pattern interrupt. A lot of the headers, I didn't do the big headers here, mainly because I just wanted to bold it. One God's love will heal my heart, another God's love will heal humanity. Tagline, okay? There are other people who will use this tagline as a way to introduce characters' search terms. So you could do something like a Fey warrior on assignment, or a Fey prince on assignment, or a Fey assassin on assignment. And then you could say a lonely lost girl looking for love, because those search terms, lonely lost girl and warrior assassin, those are all things that you'll find on Publisher Rocket that are search terms that can be used. So what you're doing is you're giving them search terms, but it's also descriptive of what they're going to find within the book. So it's a little different approach to fiction than it is to nonfiction. And then of course, the main goal of any book blurb when it comes to fiction, you introduce the conflict. So you're going to introduce the problem that your protagonist is facing. You're going to introduce the obstacle that they're facing in overcoming this problem. You're going to introduce who they are, hopefully in the beginning. So you're going to have those elements there. And then you always want to leave it kind of with a question or a what happens if I play it safe, I'll never find the answers I'm looking for. Or if I don't do this, everyone in the kingdom's going to die. Or will I finally get the love that I want at the end? And for all of you who hate romance, no eye rolling, because this sells, dang it. So I'm just saying, it's a lot of fun to work with these, but if you are not familiar with book blurbs, then I would for sure have someone else write it. Make sure you get someone who's really good at writing it. And that, let me just show you one more thing real quick.
So just before you move on, what's Bruce is asking, what is a mass market paperback?
Oh, a mass market paperback is just, it's a paperback book that Kindle or that Amazon creates, where it's just print on demand. But mass market, that's actually a good question. I don't think I've ever, do you know what a mass market paperback is?
It's on your book page.
It's on my book page?
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I've never seen it.
I wonder if it's a separate seller, because it's not something that I created. I just created the regular print on demand. Okay, mass market page. People are selling my book for $53. Oh, don't. It's not that good. I mean, seriously, why would you buying my book for $53? Look,
wow.
someone's selling it for $768. Oh, we are hard up for entertainment. Why? That's hilarious. Mass market. I think what that is that people are selling. Oh, see, this was the old cover. Do you see how awful that was? Meh. Didn't go great. So this was the old version. Maybe they're selling it because I no longer sell the book with that cover anymore. And they're thinking, oh, this is a limited edition item or something.
How did they get hand on that? And then January 1st, 1804. I mean, you've been around for very long.
That's awesome. Oh, they're
but-
trying to make it a public domain book. Dang it. Oh, don't you dare. I didn't write it in 1804.
How did they get the hand?
I don't
on that?
know. This must have been, I guess it was just a book that they bought when it had the old cover. And then they were like, I'm going to be brilliant and sell this for like 53 bucks, 768 bucks. I mean, I'll give you a book with this cover. I've got a couple of them. If you want it, you can have it for free. So
Oh,
that's
God.
hilarious.
Okay, so Bruce, I would say there's still a lot of stuff that we discover that are just very strange. I don't know what's a mass market paperback.
We'll have to look into it. But I think it's the gist of it is people have bought it and now they're repurposing it and selling it for their own.
Yeah, and because you no longer use that cover, so maybe that's how Amazon approved it. I don't know. It's weird.
Probably.
Yeah.
They're
So
just reselling it.
yeah. Can you change the book cover once set? So once you published, do you have to get reviewed again?
Well, you do just for the paperback because they have to make sure that everything fits the way it's supposed to with a new book cover, but it just takes a day really to approve it. So it's a pretty quick process. But yeah, you can change those covers anytime, and you should, because there are changes to design trends. So, you know, take a look at that and pay attention. If things are changing around you, you need to change too.
Yeah. What does trope stand for?
A trope is a plot device or a tool used to push the story along. So here, perfect example. This was the last thing I was going to show you. So here's a trope for just sweet high school romance books. So you've got a sweet young adult romance. So that's a trope in a sense. It's kind of like a subgenre, sub-niche category that we're talking about. A sweet young adult romance that's basically set in high school. Now, here's this. Curvy girls can't date bullies. Curvy girls romance, that's a trope. That's a trope. We've got a curvy girl who may be the underdog and she's not getting noticed by the hot guy at school. This is a thing, folks. It's amazing when you do your research. I love it so much because the whole curvy girl idea gives me lots of hope, actually. I could have used this in high school. I would have read these books like crazy in high school. But this is so cute. So this speaks to the genre. It's a great cover. Curvy girls can't date bullies, and then it's got the can't cut out right here. So it speaks to a whole genre of women who are grateful that we no longer have to be like 110 pounds with a waist like, you know, the tiny Barbie waist. And so it's just really cute. And then look at this. He bullied my sister. Now it's his turn to pay. Great tagline. I love it so much. And then you go in here and you see that there are other tropes in here, such as kind of revenge love, I guess you could say. So it's going to be an enemies to lovers romance, which is another trope. They're enemies at first, which causes a lot of contention and conflict. And then slowly the adhesion comes as they get stuck together. So this is a common trope for romances. Marriage of convenience, that's a trope. Let's say you're like, so the Magnificent Seven, you know how they're training the farmers to fight and to be able to fight against bullies. That's a trope. That's a trope that's been used in a lot of different movies, whether it's Westerns or historical novels, historical videos. I saw it in a Regency show where farmers were fighting landowners or something like that. So these are just plot devices that are kind of accepted by all and loved by all, and you can take them and make them your own. So a lot of people are all about originality, and originality is great. But when it comes to specific audiences, romance audiences love what's familiar, and they love these conflicts, these marriage of convenience conflicts because there's so much you can do in that. How are they going to fall in love if it's just a marriage of convenience? A lot of people love bully romances. That has also become a subgenre and a trope. And I don't understand why any woman would want to be treated horribly by a guy and then eventually get together. But the only thing I can think of is just that there's inherent conflict right in there. If you're dealing with a dude who is treating you poorly and you're trying to navigate those waters, then there's tons of conflict right there. And honestly, conflict is the basis of everything when it comes to stories. So while I think it's very odd that there's a huge group of people out there who love this idea of romance stemming from a dude treating you poorly, odd, it's working because it's full of conflict. So you do, whether you agree with certain tropes, whether you like the genre or not, it's important to pay attention to what is selling so that you can see if it's sustainable, if it's evergreen, or if it's just a trend and you don't necessarily need to get in on it. So yeah, so that is pretty much it.
Okay.
Any questions?
Yes, we do have a lot of questions around cover, change cover, and all those things. So Ellen is asking, for the paperback, the title and subtitle cannot be changed after launch.
Right.
Yes. So with that cover, so if you change the title and subtitle, which can be changed, you have to change the cover again. If Ellen, I hope that makes sense. So if you change anything on the cover, then then you just have to submit the cover again. Any recommendation for cheap book covers agency, Madison? Fiverr? Just go Fiverr.
Yeah, Fiverr's got a lot of really actually very talented cover designers on there, and they won't charge you a lot.
Yeah. I thought I just shared with you one CJ last week, someone on Fiverr. That's someone on Fiverr, and they're now charging a lot. But
are they? Oh, dang it, they got smart.
Yeah, no, they are not charging a lot. They are not.
Oh, they're not charging a lot. Oh, good.
So, yeah,
like
you just have to go on Fiverr and give a try. Have a look at what are their portfolio of past work and see if it resonates with you and if it's relevant to your genre, and then give them a try.
One thing I want to say, be specific in what you search for. So if you're searching for a specific type of cover design for a specific category, type that in there. If you're searching for health and wellness cover designs, type that in there, because don't just type in cover designers. You'll get all sorts of stuff. So be really specific about what you type in.
Caravan is asking, I thought title and subtitle both become uneditable. Yeah, once published. Yes, if you're changing them, then you have to submit again. And like CJ just said, it's just going to probably take a day, unless your title and subtitle have some forbidden words or something that's against Amazon terms and conditions. But yeah, you can change them. You just have to submit for review again. And then if they're different to your book cover, then you need to change the book cover as well. So the title and subtitle need to match with your book cover.
And if you guys are having issues with that, because I know that they freeze that section in KDP once you put in, it says this can't be changed again. Go in and send emails to Amazon at the help desk and say, hey, I needed to update certain things. I need to update my cover. The title is the same. I just need to fix a few things in the subtitle. Can you please, go in and fix that for me? Because they should be able to do that. It's still the same book. It's still the same product. And there's no reason that if you can change it as an ebook, that you can't change it as a paperback. They just like to lock things in because they're having to send stuff to a printer. So they need to make sure that everything is locked in accordingly and can't just randomly be changed, because once it's locked in, it's sent to their printer. So that needs to all be approved.
Alisa, do you mean we can change the title every month? I wouldn't change my title every month. Oh,
no, I wouldn't. I would just keep up to date on the keywords. I've had that particular keyword in there for 3 years, and I never checked it. Yeah. Bad, Cindy. Bad, horrible. So yeah, I haven't changed my titles much at all. You just need to go in and make sure that your search terms are relevant, that what you're doing is relevant, and that you're still competing. And if you're still competing, even if the keywords are really high, but you're still getting great sales, I mean, don't fix what's not broken, you know?
Joe is asking, if you change a cover and the subtitle of your book, do you not have to then unpublish your book and lose your reviews?
No, when you unpublish, all you're doing is unpublishing, like you're temporarily not making it available, but the Amazon page is still present. So when you hit publish again, it's still present on there. Okay. So you're not losing your page. And honestly, when you upload and republish, all it's doing is republishing changes. So your page never really goes away as long as you don't hit unpublish. What you would do is just go in and fix the things that you need to, and then hit publish again. And all it does is it takes what's on the page and then changes it to whatever you uploaded or fixed in the text.
Donna is asking, but wouldn't you still have copyright over that book? As I said, as soon as you write something on a piece of paper, you are protected by copyrights.
Right. If you're worried about registering, because there's a difference between the copyright page and then copyright registration. If you decide to officially register your book, you do not get to change the title or the subtitle. So let's be real clear about that. Any registration you do goes straight to like Congress. So that's up to you.
Yeah, but just to be really clear, you do not become protected by copyright because of the registration.
Right.
The copyrights arise from the very moment when you fix your words on
paper.
On the paper.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't even have to be the final version. It can be just a draft. It will still be protected by copyright. Vandana, would a book on witchcraft be in fiction or non-fiction? There must be ideas that straddle both rights. Yeah.
There are. Yeah. It just depends on how you want to take it. If you want to do a history of witchcraft, you're looking at nonfiction. If you want to do a story about a girl who has powers awakening and suddenly she can levitate like Cheez-Its and bring them to her mouth, fiction. And awesome. Someone should write that.
So I think, Ellen, are all the reviews lost when title and subtitles are changed? I think we answered that question. They're not. They're just temporarily on pause, like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
On paperback, I cannot change the title and subtitle after launched. It is grayed out in the back end. It says it cannot be changed after launched. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Paperback. So you got to go in and talk to them, send an email, see if you can change it. Sometimes they're sticky about that, other times they're not, but you can definitely change it with the ebook. And a lot of times you're going to be selling more ebooks than paperback. So it's still going to be drawing people to your books. And then they can also be drawn to the paperback if they want to buy that. So best of both worlds right there.
Yeah. How do you check for plagiarism?
Oh, well, first of all, you're never going to avoid it. Like, are you talking about someone plagiarizing your stuff, or are you talking about like a ghostwriter plagiarizing stuff when they send it to you? Probably, like you get a plagiarized book.
Yeah, probably both.
Okay, yeah, so yeah. What you will do if you're working with an agency, the likelihood of plagiarism is like virtually non-existent because they go through those checks themselves before they even send it to you. And so you shouldn't worry about that, but you can, I think, is it copy something or other? There are a couple specific resources you can use where you can actually upload your book and have people, and it will, the software will go through it and make sure that it has not been plagiarized. And we can put up links to that if you don't already have them in the resources.
There's a link to a plagiarism software in the directory. I'm pretty sure I put it in there.
Okay.
Okay.
As far as your book being pirated, are they asking about that too, or no?
No. How do you check? Okay. The question is, how do you check for plagiarism? So I guess it can also cover how can you avoid for all the people from copying you. And I think there's similar question. What is to stop people using your author name for their own to steal your traffic?
Nothing. There's nothing. I can't tell you how many times I have found my books on foreign sites. I have a huge following in Germany, and it's not because of anything I've done. It's because people have pirated my books and put them on their websites. But what's interesting about that is that it actually has given me more exposure. So while I don't get whatever profits they're making by selling my books on their website, they didn't change my name. It's still my cover. It's still my book. And then people who want the rest of the series will actually just go to Amazon or go and find me. So I have tons of teenagers from India, from Germany, and from, there's one other one, I can't remember, emailing me constantly saying that they love my books and telling me where they found it. And I go and I look and I'm like, oh, that is not me. I did not put that up there, but it's brought in more revenue and it's got me more fans. So it's kind of a, I don't know, you got to roll with the punches on that one.
I think it's, I know that a lot of you also are selling physical products on Amazon. It's the same principle. You're going to be copied. People are going to somehow do dodgy stuff. It's where you put your focus on. I don't focus on any of those. I only focus on staying relevant, keep a few steps ahead of others, and keep innovating, keep adding new books, new products, new things, so that I'm a few steps ahead of others. So that's the only area that I place my energy and time and money on. I don't really bother with do you have any really solid legal agreement to prevent this and that? You know, you're not going to be able to prevent everything. So I don't really waste too much time on this kind of thoughts.
Yeah, and you'll spend too much money trying to stop it. So
yeah. How do I get a hard copy printed of my book? Anne Catherine is asking. I know Kindle only provides ebook and paperback form. Who will print a hard copy of my book? There's a few publishers.
Ingram Spark.
Ingram Spark, Lulu also to a certain extent, depending on the for the low content notebook type of books. It is quite fiddly, and Catherine, I try to use Ingram Spark platform. I found it really unfriendly to use. But that's the platform people go for their hard copy.
Right. And it's kind of the same principle. It's the whole print on demand thing. Not only can you order hardback copies for yourself, they'll print it, send it to you. When other people order hardback copies of the book, they'll print it and send it to them. They'll mail it to them. So you're not dealing with inventory. So if people want the hardback copy, they can get it if you make it available through Ingram, and they distribute it to a lot of places, including international. So
I just wonder if you have some sort of exclusivity issue. So say if you're publishing on Amazon and you enrolled into KDP Select, you have, for the ebooks, not the paperback, but for the ebooks,
right.
For example, you have an exclusivity. You cannot sell ebook anywhere else for 90 days. The other thing is, I wonder if Ingram has some sort of exclusivity where if you sell hardback on their platform, whether you can also sell paperback elsewhere. I don't know.
I believe you can. Because I don't think that what Ingram does is they produce it and then they distribute it, and they distribute it all over the place. When you enroll in Kindle Select with KDP, you're saying, I'm not going to put my ebook anywhere else but here. I don't think that applies to paperbacks. I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
No, it
so
doesn't.
So if you decide that you want to put your paperback books and you want like mass expanded distribution, the best way to go is KDP and Ingram Spark together, because you can get KDP or Amazon to distribute where it needs to with expanded distribution, and then you get the hardback on Ingram as well as the paperback, and they distribute everywhere else that Amazon doesn't. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, honestly.
Amazon also has the what is it? The global expanded distribution
Right,
system,
right,
where you get less. So Amazon will make your book available to all the distributors, but it's up to those other distributors to decide whether they want to distribute your book or not, and you
right.
receive a royalty. I think it's 40% or something, like
Hmm.
less than what you get from Amazon paperback. But this is also another channel, I guess, of distribution. And then Ingram, yeah, if you want to do hardback, then by all means. I just don't think the kind of book we do really wants any hardback.
Right,
It's I mean, those I mean, the kind of book we do are just non-fiction or business book or self-help book. It's just you read it and then it's just
right. It's just short informational books.
yeah.
People are looking for short, easy reads. Most of them on ebooks, sometimes on paperback, but for the most part, I don't think anyone's looking to buy a really wonderful, beautiful, good looking hardback unless you're publishing public domain books. If you want to do public
Yeah.
domain books and you want to do the classics, hardbacks are awesome because people most of the time are buying those classics for the hardbacks. So that's when I would do it.
Or if you are Tim Ferriss, and then yeah, you have all the versions that you can even not imagine. I guess I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Yes.
In the
All that you could imagine.
Yeah, no, everything that you can imagine. So I have all Tim Ferriss books, and they're all in hardback.
Right.
Yeah. So okay, let me just. Sorry, I know we're going over time, but I think you guys are used by now that I always go over time. So once the agency, Kate asks, once the agency has picked the author, do we get to work with that author though? As directly with them? Each agency works a little differently. Some will be giving you what they wrote by milestone, like I said, the first chapter, the second chapter. Some will, you just give them your book outline and they will write the whole book and then that's it. So each agency works a little bit different.
If you're doing a series, I do believe that there are some agencies that will allow you to say, hey, I'm doing a series of books within, horticulture. I would really like the same person to be writing all of these books. Can we make that happen? Usually that's a customer support thing, contacting them directly rather than just placing an order. And then I'm sure that, if they're worth their salt, they would make it possible for you to stick with the same author.
Yeah.
Or ghostwriter.
Yeah, I mean, always ask,
Yeah, always ask.
Just ask. If you want to change your press name or author name, will Amazon change this for you as you can't edit it?
Are you talking about the paperback? Are they talking about the paperback?
Christine, are you talking about the paperback? I don't know if you're talking about the paperback or if you're just talking about on your author central page. Maybe you can specify that. Kevin, I've had paperback titles and subtitles changed by emailing them, but I had to be persistent on a couple of occasions. All the times they did it easily, no issue. Kevin, this is Amazon to a T. Sometimes, they're just like, yeah, of course, no problem. They know exactly what you want. And some other times you have to call them a few times. I like to actually get to speak to someone rather than exchanging emails. Because when it's email, they just tend to send me those boilerplate
form responses,
and then they just copy paste, and it's always the same.
Don't address the issue.
Yeah, so try to get to talk to someone, and even if you're not based in the US, you still can get them to call you back. So the number of times I got them to call me back is crazy. I think they probably have me on the fire somewhere. Oh no, not this crazy woman, she's calling again. So
faces.
I'm blacklisted. So if you log into KDP, you go on the top right, I believe there's a support button. You click on that and you will take you to a contact us page, and you click on contact us, and then you select the topic, and then you have the option of sending them an email or getting them to call you back. So just be mindful of the business hours. It's the US business hours. It's not for those who are outside the US. You just have to make sure it works.
Yes, and my motto is never settle for email. You always want to speak to someone. Never settle for email. Ugh.
The fact that you can sell your book to a lot of countries, wouldn't that expose you to piracy regularly? Judith? I don't care.
Yes, it will. I mean, if you stick to the US, it still will, because there are people who pirate everything. Anything digital is going to be pirated no matter what. So the best way to look at it, the only time you should really be upset about it is if someone is publishing something under a different author name and not your name. So I don't have a problem with my stuff being pirated, mainly because it's still my cover and my contact information and I mean, they had the decency to put my email address on there, which I thought was kind.
Oh, so nice. So nice.
So yeah, I thought that was funny. But you know, if you run into situations where your stuff is being pirated and published under a different author name, you could take legal action. But again, consider that it's just a 30,000 word book. If it's not selling well, you know, I mean, consider the situation. If it's selling like hotcakes, it becomes a bestseller. You could take legal action and see where that goes. And you could easily prove that they had pirated it. If they're using your book cover and your author name, consider it free publicity and move on. Seriously, just do it.
Can you see all of the participants are only each other? Ellen, only each other? We can only see each other. How
no, dang it. I want to see their faces.
Oh, we have like around 100 people on those calls.
Oh, too many faces.
Too many faces. Yeah, you know, and you know that it's going to trigger some anxiety for me because it's just like too many things to see.
No, remember, we're happy to keep that.
Yeah, like just let's
my job. Manage the anxiety.
Managing my anxiety. How is the postage paid for paperback? Helen, Amazon will do the postage, and there's a calculator for your paperback royalty. If you just Google KTP paperback royalties, you will take you to a link to a guide page. And then there's a calculator there, and you can just key in the number of page, whether you want to print it in color or in black and white, and then they will tell you how much royalty you get. So that's all you need to worry about. It doesn't matter how the postage is paid. It's going to be included in the fees that you're going to pay to Amazon, and Amazon will look after the postage. How do you distribute the Ingram hardback via Amazon? Ingram Spark do the distribution for you. Now you don't have to do it via Amazon. And Christine, it's about the paperback. Can you change to the question of changing the author name? I've lost it.
Oh, she said it was on the paperback.
Yeah. If you want to change your price name or author name on the paperback, will Amazon change this for you as you can't edit it?
You can edit the price point for a paperback at any time. That's not locked in. What is locked in is the author name. And I honestly, changing author names, that's a bit dicey. Just because hopefully you've established a brand for your author name. If maybe it was just in the initial setup and you thought, you know what, I hate that author pen name, I'm going to try a different one, you know, from the beginning, then you can email Amazon and let them know you made a mistake and you need someone to manually go in and change that author name for you. I would be persistent with that. Just talk to them and say, I decided to change it. If that book has been up a long time, I would really hesitate to change the author name because people attach your books to your author name and your face, or whatever stock photo you put up there. So your brand is your author name. So I mean, after a few months, several months, and you've got stars and stuff and reviews, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it if I were you. But it was just kind of, if it's in the beginning stages and you're like, no, I want to go with this one, just call them and see what you can do.
Kevin just said, I did have my author name changed on some paperback titles by calling KDP support. Thanks, Kevin. Yes, so
Perfect.
guys, call them. Like they're, you are indirectly paying them. So
Yeah.
use them. It's all going into your Amazon fees. So you might as well just use it as much as you can.
Yeah. Don't be intimidated. You are the boss.
You're the boss.
And
yes.
if you got to say that to yourself before you get on the phone, do it. You are the boss.
You're the
Just
boss.
kidding.
Exactly.
boss.
That's what I like to say to myself, even if it's not true, but you know.
It's true. I say it all the time. Virginia is the boss.
I say that to my husband all the time, even if it's not true.
I love it.
Ellen is asking, when publishing public domain books, where do you get the audiobooks recorded? On ACX, it says you cannot use their platform narrators. You have to record them separately and upload them to the platform. I don't know, Ellen. I always use the narrators on the ACX platform. I don't know how you do audiobook for public domain books.
For public domain books, I think you can. So she's saying that you can't use narrators from ACX to do the public domain books?
Yeah, ACX. So she says ACX says that you cannot use their platform and narrators.
Oh, well, how rude. Okay. There are a couple of sites. There are actually a couple of really good, and now I'm blanking, of course, when it matters most, choking. There are a couple of sites where you can actually go and get it produced and use other people's narrations, and they do not own the rights, and you can upload it wherever you want to. So we'll get those links. We'll find those companies and get them sent to you. The only problem with this is then you're having to pay upfront costs if you can swing it, rather than just doing a royalty share on ACX, which I think kind of takes the burden away of paying upfront costs if you don't want to. But
I think it's still better. I think if you do audiobook, it's still better to bear the upfront cost, because
true.
then you don't have to share royalties. So everything you get, it's yours. So that I think, and it's not that much. I mean, I don't imagine it will be that much. It's pretty, you know, for 30,000 word book, so it's about 3 hours, and it's around $250.
Right.
To get a narrative.
If you have public domain books that are longer, like much longer, just it's going to be about $50 to $100 depending on the expertise of the narrator per finished hour. That doesn't mean that all the hours they spend recording it, they're going to charge you. You're only going to be charged for per finished hour of recording. So if it takes 11 hours to listen to the audiobook, then that's what they're charging you, is 11 hours. So
I'm pretty sure you can find already done recordings, audios for those public domain books, and you can just buy I'm pretty sure you can just buy the end product rather than commissioning all new. So you just have to Google a little bit, Ellen. It's a little bit outside of what we do, but Google, please. Kevin says, "Oh, I know them all well on the phone now. I think we're talking about KTP support, right?" And
he's got them named. He knows their names. First name basis, so important.
There's a lot of them. And Catherine, yeah, thank you so much for answering my question. You're welcome. What do you make on a 3 hours audiobook, Mandana? It depends which royalty plan you chose, and it also depends. There's a guide on ACX that tells you how much you can roughly make depending which royalty plan you make. As always, thanks, Patty. Yeah, great. You was in. Caroline, is it a problem to use a name other than your real name? Not at all. We all use pen names. Can my first book be about memoirs of mine and my late wife, and obviously change our names and other related words? You can do, I don't know who's the name of the person, what's the name of the person who posed that question. You can write anything, but the question is whether you're going to have demand for that book, because it's all what we're trying to get you to do here is to make money out of your books. So if your book is about something that's really personal and private, and that's not of in the mass audience radar, then I wonder how much you can actually sell that book. Thank you, Laura. I can see the chat or any question. Beth, you cannot, because I've disabled the chat, and I can see all the questions, so that you don't get distracted, and you're actually listening to the questions. So like I said, I'm the boss. I just made the executive decision. So that's it. I got to the end of the questions, and thank you for staying around. Like I said, I always go over time. Just a bit of a housekeeping from next week. We are going to check. So UK will start the daylight saving, and Australia and New Zealand will end our daylight saving. So next week, for those who are in UK, I think it's gonna be 10 p.m. for the weekly call. I'm really, really sorry. It's just that time zone. Yeah, it's not. It's gonna be 7 a.m. my time. In Australia, it's gonna be 9 a.m. in New Zealand. It's always 9 a.m. in New Zealand. So if you have a if you're a bit confused with the time, so just remember it's always Thursday 9 a.m. New Zealand time, and then you can use a time converter, and you will be East Coast 5 p.m. So it's gonna be a different time for those in the US as well. So I just want to draw your attention to the change of time. Yeah, and then just keep contacting KDP support. Keep sending us questions. Keep plugging in, what you're doing. Just do this thing. Just do this damn thing.
Just do the thing.
Stop worrying about the anti-word, what's piracy, copyright. Just do the thing. Just do the thing.
Do the thing.
All right, guys.
And don't settle for email. Never settle for email.
Don't settle for email. And remember, you're the boss, so you take control. Thanks, everyone. It was so good to see you. Thanks, CJ. As always, it was a pleasure.
Fun to be here.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you a very stern talk about your internet. And now that's over. Happy Easter, everyone, and we'll see you all very soon. Thanks, guys. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.